Hello guys and welcome to our channel Get Motivated, and today we are going to motivate you by briefing a topic and by a novel named as You Are a Badass, and we are going to summarize the novel for you. And the contents of novel that we are going to explain you today are: my subconscious mind made me do it, the G word, present as a pigeon, the big snooze, and self-perception is a zoo. So just give me a few moment. Just give me a moment to continue with my topic. Okay, here's the introduction of the novel. So you can start out with nothing, and out of nothing and out of no way a way will be made. Said by Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. I used to think quotes like this were a bunch of crap. I also didn't understand what the hell they were talking about. I mean, not that I cared, I was too cool. What little I knew about the self help spiritual world I found to be unforgivably cheesy. It reeked of desperation, rah rah rah, cheeriness, and unwanted hugs from unappealing strangers. And don't even get me started on how grouchy I used to be about God. At the same time, there was all this stuff about my life that I desperately wanted to change, and had I been able to bulldoze through my holier than theism, I could have easily used some help around here. I mean, overall, I was doing pretty well. I had published a couple of books, had lots of great friends, a close family, and apartment, a car, then that ran, food, teeth, clothes, clean drinking water compared to the majority of the planet. My life was a total cream puff. But compared to what I knew I was capable of, I was, shall we say, unimpressed. I always felt like, come on, this is the best I can do. Really, I am going to make just enough to pay my rent this month. Again, and I am going to spend another year dating a bunch of weirdos. So I can be in all these wobbly, non-commercial relationships and create even more drama. Really. And am I seriously going to question what my deeper purpose is and wallow in the misery of that quagmire for the millionaire time? Well, I felt like I was going through the motions of living my lukewarm life with the occasional flare-ups of awesomeness here and there. And the most painful part was that deep down I knew I was a total rock star, that I had the power to give and receive and love with the best of them, that I could leap tall buildings in a single bound and could create anything I put my mind to. And what's that? Just got a parking ticket. You have got to be kidding me. Let me see that I can't afford to pay this. It's like my third one this month. I am going down there to talk to them right now. Then do. Off I go, consumed once again by low-level mature, only to find. Okay, so I am assuming if you are reading this that there are some areas of your life that aren't looking so good either, and that you could be looking a whole lot of better things. Maybe you are living with your soulmate and are joyfully sharing your gifts with the world, but are so broke that your dog is on his own if he wants to get fed. Maybe you are doing great financially and you have a deep connection to your higher purpose, but you can't remember that the last time you wet your plants, and you are laughing. Or maybe you suck equally at all of the above and spend your free time crying or drinking or getting pissed off all the time. And yes, it happens, but there is no sense of humor that
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, that occurs this. So in my mind, I just want to say that for you to be confident you need self motivation.
Yes, yes.
So this isn't really necessary that about making million of dollars or helping to solve world problems of getting your own TV shows, unless that's your thing.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Your calling could simply be to take care of your family or to grow the perfect tulip. This is about getting mighty clear about what makes you happy and what makes you feel the most alive, and then creating it instead of pretending that you can't have it, or that you don't deserve it, or that you are greedy economically. And yeah, this is what I want to tell you. And yes, one most important thing is listening to what your dad and your aunt think you should be doing it.
Yes, yes.
It's about having the cautions to show up as the brightest, happiest, baddest version of yourself.
Okay, oh my god,
Whatever
yeah.
that looks like to you.
Yes.
So, wanting can be done sitting on the couch with a bong in your hand and a travel magazine in your lap. Deciding means jumping in all the way, doing whatever it takes, and going after your dreams with the intensity and of a dateless cheerleader a week before from night. You'll probably have to do things like this, and you never imagined you'd do, because if any of your friends saw you doing it or spending money on it, you would never live it down, or they considered you or concerned about you, or they don't stop being friends with you because now you are all weird and different. You will have to believe in things you can't see, as well as some things that you have full
Oh,
on purpose,
yeah, yeah.
full on proof are impossible. You are gonna have to push past past your fears,
Okay.
fail over and over again, and make a habit of doing things you are not so comfy doing.
Okay.
You are going to
Understand.
have to let go of old limiting beliefs and cling to your decision to create the life you desire. Like your life depends on it,
Yes, yes, absolutely.
because guess what, your life does depend on it. That's what I telling you earlier.
Yes.
So, as challenging as this may sound, it's nowhere near as brutal as walking up in the middle of the night feeling like someone parked a car on your chest, crushed under the realization that your life is zooming by and you have yet to start living in a way that has a real meaning to you.
Really?
Yes, it is. You may have heard stories about people who had these major breakthroughs when the shit really hit the fan. They
Yeah.
found a lump or got their electricity turned off or were moments away from having sex with strangers
Oh
to
my
buy
god.
drugs to buy drugs when suddenly they woke up
Oh,
transformed. But you don't have wait until you hit the rock bottom to
okay.
start crawling out of your hole. All you have to do is make the decision, and you can make it right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yes.
There's a great line from the poet Annis Nin that reads, and the day came when the risk remained tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom.
Oh, what a beautiful words.
Yes, this is how it was for me, and how I think it is for most people. My journey was a process, and still is, that started with my decision to make some serious changes, regardless of what I had to do to make them.
Yeah.
None of the things I had already tried were working. Mulling it over and over with my equally broke friends and my therapist working my ass off, going
Okay.
out for a beer and hoping it would take care of itself. I was at the point where I would try anything to get my act together, and lordly lord. It's like the universe was testing me to see just how serious I was.
Okay.
I went to motivational seminars as well, where they made me wear a name tag and high five the person next to me while shouting, "You are awesome," and so I am.
Oh my god.
I beat a pillow with a baseball bat and shrieked like I was on fire. I bonded with my spirit guide, participated in a group ceremony where I married myself,
Oh,
wrote wrote a love letter,
okay,
read
okay.
every self-help book under the sun, and spent blood curdling amounts of money. I did not. So, whatever it is you are doing, so if you are less than impressed with your current situation, you clearly need to change things up.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually.
If you want to live a life you have never lived, you have to do things you have never done. I don't care how big a loser you may not perceive yourself to be right now. The fact that you are literate, have the luxury of time to read this book and summarize it, and the money to buy it puts you way ahead of the game. This isn't something to feel guilty or whiny or superior about, but it is something to appreciate. And should you make the decision to really go for it, know that you are extremely well poisoned to knock it out of the park and share your awesomeness with the world, because that's really what this is all about. We need smart people with huge hearts
Yeah.
and creative minds to manifest all the wealth resources and support they need to make their difference in the world. We need people to feel happy and fulfilled and loved, so they don't take their shit out on themselves and other people and the planet and our animal friends. We need to be surrounded by people who radiate self-love and abundance, so we don't
Yes.
program future generations with gnarly beliefs like money is bad and I'm not good enough and I can't live the way I want to live.
Yes.
That's what I want to tell you. So I hope you understand what I want to say you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you are such a good um,
Um,
code instructor, Mr. Sandra.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your things. So the first thing I am going to ask you to do is to believe that we live in a world of limitless possibilities.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, I don't care if you have a lifetime of proof that you can't stop showing food in your face, or that people are instinctively evil, or that you couldn't keep a man if you were handcuffed to his ankles. Believe that anything is possible anyway. See what happens when what do you have to lose? If you try getting through this book and decide it's a bunch of crap, you can go back to your sucky life. But maybe if you put your disbelief and aside, roll up
Yeah.
your sleeves and take some risk and totally go for it, you will wake up one day and realize you are living the kind of life you used to be jealous of.
Yes.
That's what I am talking about. And let us begin with the first content of our novel, and let's summarize it for you guys, for your beautiful people. My subconscious made me do it. You are a victim of the rules you live by. Told by Jenny Holzer, artist, thinker, and a blutter of brilliance. So, what he talks about is, many years ago, I was a terrible bowling accident. My friend and I were at the tail end of a heated tiebreaker, and I was so focused on making great show of my final shot,
Yeah.
leaping into action, loudly declaring my impending victory, dancing and twirling my way through my approach, that I didn't realize where my feet were when I let go of the ball. This was the moment I was to learn how serious the bowling community is about penalizing those who roll with the one toe over the line.
Yeah.
They pour oil or wax or lube or something unimaginably slippery all over the alley. And should someone accidentally slide out of bounds while attempting the perfect hook shot, she'll she'll find her feet flying out from under her and her ass crashing down onto a surface that even an airborne bowling ball can't crack. So that's the story of my pains. I have pains in my feet when I sleep too. He said, raising himself up for an unreciprocated high five. It's not just because I am not into whole high five thing that I feel I left him hanging, but also because I was annoyed with him. I already find mattress shopping to be totally bizarre and embarrassing. Lying on your side with a pillow between your thighs for all to see like it's anyone's business. But the fact that I had to do it with my salesman lying next to me begging for a high fever was more than I could handle. I couldn't help but notice that all the other salesmen simply stood at the end of the bed rattling of mattress facts while their clients tested out a myriad of positions but not mine. He had lowered down next to me on his back, arms crossed over his chest, and thoughtfully chat away, staring at the ceiling like we were at summer camp. I mean, he was nice enough and incredibly knowledgeable about coils and latex and memory foam.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but I was scared to roll over for fear he had start spooning me.
Oh, okay, okay.
So was I too friendly? Should I not have asked him where he was from? Did he think I meant something else when I patted the empty space next to me to test below the pillow top?
Maybe. Maybe.
Yes. I obviously should have asked Freak Show Bob to get off the damn bed or found someone else to help me instead of sneaking out out of the door and blowing my only opportunity that the week to go mattress shopping. But I didn't want to embarrass him. This is pretty how my family was trained to deal with any sort of potentially uncomfortable interaction. Along with the fail-safe method of running in the opposite direction, other tools in our confrontation toolbox also included freeze talk about the weather, go blank, and burst into tears. The moment you are out of earshot, our lack of confrontation management skills was no great surprise considering the fact that my mother comes from a long lineage of wasps. Her parents were the types who believed that children were to be seen and not heard, and who looked upon any sort of emotional display with the same horrified disdain usually reserved for cheap Scotch and non Ivy League educations. And even though my mother went on to create a household for us that was as warm, loving, and laughter filled as they come, it took years for me to finally learn how to form a sentence when presented with the blood chilling phrase, "We need to talk." All this is to say that it's not your fault that you are fucked up. It's your fault if you stay fucked up. This is the line.
Yeah, it
But
is.
the foundation of your fuck upness is something that's been passed down through generations of your family. Like a coat of arms or a killer cornbread recipe, or in my case, equating confrontation with heart failure. When you came screaming onto this planet, you were truly a bundle of joy and a wide-eyed creature incapable of doing anything but being in that moment. You had no idea that you had a body, let alone that you should be ashamed of it. When you looked around, everything just was. There was nothing about you. There was nothing about your world that was scary or too expensive or so last year as far as you were concerned. If something came next your mouth, you stuck it in. If it came near your hand, you grabbed it. You were simply a human being. While you explored and expanded into your new world, you also received messages from the people around you about the way things are. From the moment you could take it in, they started filling you up with lifetimes worth of beliefs, many of which have nothing to do with you and who you actually are or what is necessary to. For example, I say the world is a dangerous place. You are too fat. Homosexuality is a curse. Size matters. Hair shouldn't grow there. Going to college is important. Being a musician or artist isn't a real career, etc.
Yeah, the typical patriarchal society. It
Yeah,
is.
stereotypes.
Yes.
The main source of this information was, of course, your parents. assisted by society at large. When they were raising you, your parents, in a genuine effort to protect you and educate you and love you with all their hearts, hopefully passed on the beliefs they learned from their parents, who learned there from their parents, and your parents' learned it from their parents.
Yes.
So the trouble is, many of these beliefs have nothing to do with you, who they actually are, were, or actually
Um,
is.
because it is coming through the ancestors and
Yeah, and they are feeding inside you.
yes, and going through every generation.
Yes. So most people are living in an illusion based on someone else's beliefs until they wake up, which is what this book will hopefully help you do. Here's how it works. We as humans have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Most of us are only aware of our conscious mind. However, because that's where we process all our information, it's where we figure things out, judge, obsess, analyze, criticize, worry that our ears are too big, decide once and for all to stop eating fried food, grasp that 2 plus 2 is 4,
Yeah,
try to remember
it is.
where the hell we left the car keys, etc. The common problems.
Yes.
The conscious mind is like a relentless overachiever, instantly spinning around from thought to thought, stopping only when we sleep and then starting up again the second we open our eyes. Our conscious mind, otherwise known as our frontal lobe, doesn't fully develop until sometime around puberty. Our subconscious mind, on the other hand, is the non analytical part of our brain that's fully developed the moment we arrive here on earth. It's all about feelings and insist and erupting into ear piercing, temper, tantrums. In the middle of supermarkets, it's also where we store all the early outside information we get. So the subconscious mind believes everything because it has no filter. It doesn't know the difference between what's true and what's not true. If our parents tell us that nobody in our family knows how to make money, we believe them. If they show us that marriage means punching each other's face, we believe it. We believe them when they tell us that some fat guy in a red suit is going to climb down the chimney and bring us presents. That's
Yeah.
that's a pretty, I think,
Yeah. Uh, quite amusing essay.
yeah. I don't. Please, nobody. Why wouldn't we believe any of the other garbage they fed us? Our subconscious mind is like a little kid who doesn't know any better and non coincidentally receives most of its information when we are little kids and
Yeah.
don't know any better. Because our frontal lobes, the conscious part of our brains, hasn't fully formed yet. We take in information via the words, smiles, frowns, heavy sighs, raised eyebrows, tears, laughter, etc. of the people surrounding us with zero ability to filter any of it. And it all gets lodged in our squishy little subconscious mind as the truth, otherwise known as our happy beliefs, where it lives undistributed and unanalyzed until we are on the therapy couch decades later or checking ourselves into rehab again. I can pretty much guarantee that every time you tearfully ask yourself the question, "What the fuck is my problem?" the answer would be a lie in some manner,
Yeah.
in a very lame in a very lame sense, limiting and false subconscious belief that you have been dragging around without even realizing it, which means that understanding this is majorly important. So let's review, shall we?
Yeah. Let's we go.
Our subconscious mind contains the blueprint of for our lives. It's running the show based on the unfiltered information it gathered where when we are kids, when we were kids, otherwise known as our beliefs. We are for the part completely obvious that to the subconscious beliefs that runs our lives. When our conscious minds finally develop and show up for work, no matter how big and smart and high flaunting they grow to be, they are still being controlled by the beliefs we are carrying around in our subconscious minds. Our conscious mind thinks it's in control, but it isn't. Our subconscious mind doesn't think about anything, but it is in control. This is why so many of us stumble through life doing everything we know is our conscious mind, in our conscious mind. To do yet remain mystified by what's keeping us from creating the excellent life we want. For example, let's say you were raised by a father who was constantly struggling financially, who walked around kicking the furniture and grumbling about how money doesn't grow on trees, and who neglected you because he was always off trying and for the most of part failing
Yeah.
to make a living. Your subconscious took this in at face value and might have developed beliefs such as money is equals to struggle. Money is unavailable. It's money fault. It's money's fault that I was abandoned by my father. Money sucks and causes pain.
Okay, okay.
Cut to you as an adult who is who in your conscious mind would love nothing more than to be raking in the dough, but who is subconsciously mistreating of money, believes it's unavailable to you, and who worries that if you make it you will be abandoned by someone you love. You may then manifest these subconscious beliefs by staying broke no matter how hard you consciously trying to make money, or by repeatedly making tons of money and then losing it in order to avoid being abundant, or in plethora of other frustrating ways.
Okay.
So no matter what you say you want, if you have got an underlying subconscious belief that it's going to cause you pain or isn't available to you, you either won't let yourself have it, or you will let yourself have it, but you will be real fucked up about it, and then you will go off and lose it anyway.
Oh, so that's how it is.
Yeah, so what happens is we don't realize that by eating that fourth donut, or by ignoring our intuitions and marrying that guy who is awful lot like our low down cheating daddy, that we are being driven by our subconscious mind, not our conscious mind. And that when our subconscious belief are out of alignment with the things and experiences we want in our conscious mind and heart, it creates confusing conflicts between what we are trying to create and what we are actually creating. It's like we are driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. Obviously we all have awesome subconscious beliefs as well, but we are not talking about those right now.
Yeah.
Here are some scenarios, some other scenarios that may or may not ring a bell. Conscious mind. I long to find and marry you, soulmate. Subconscious mind. Intimacy leads to pain and suffering. Finger, ringless.
Yes.
Conscious mind. I want to lose 25 pounds. Subconscious mind. People aren't safe. I must build a shield to protect myself. Body, a fortress or a flab. Conscious mind. I'm hot and sexy and want to get it on. Subconscious mind. Physical pleasure is shameful. Sex life beyond. Conscious mind. I want to travel the world. Subconscious mind. Fun is equals to irresponsible is equals to I won't be loved. Passport blank.
Oh.
It's sort of not like being able to enjoy sitting on your front porch anymore, because it's totally reeks of something cold out there. You can come up with all these brilliant ways to deal with the problem. Light license, set up fans, blame it on the dog, but until you realize that something has crawled under your house you and died, your problem will linger on, stinking up your life. The first key to ridding yourself of limiting subconscious belief is to become aware of them. Because until you are aware of what's really going on your way, you will keep working with your conscious mind, thinking you need to paint the approach to solve a problem that's buried for beneath it. It is in your subconscious mind, which is an exercise in futility. Take a minute to look at some of less than impressive areas of your life and think about the underlying beliefs that could have created them. Let's take the cold crowd pleasure, lack of money. For example, are you making far less money than you know you are capable of earning? Have you reached a certain income level that no matter that what you are doing, you can't seem to go above? Does generating an abundance of money consistently seem like something you are not even physically capable of?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a problem. If so, write down the first five things that come to your mind when you think about money.
Mm.
Is your list full of hope and bravado or fearing and loathing? What are your parents' beliefs about your money? What are the beliefs of other people and you grew up around? uh, what was their relationship with the money like? Do you see any connection between their money beliefs and yours? Later on this book, I am going to give you tools to go much deeper with your subconscious beliefs and fix whatever's blocking you from living the kind of life you would love to live. But for now, practice stepping aside, notice what's happening in the dysfunctional areas of your life, and strengthen your almighty awareness muscle.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that's our first reference, and swiftly moving on to our second
Second one.
reference,
Yeah.
which is the G word. So
Okay.
I hope you don't understand the concept of G word, but before telling you about the concept of G word, let me tell you something interesting and beautiful quote,
Okay.
which
I'm
was
listening.
which was said by Nikola Tesla.
Oh,
He was an investor and a super genius.
yeah. I heard of him.
Yes, he said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think it in terms of energy, frequency, and vibrations.
Yeah, I think I heard of this quote of Nikola Tesla.
If you heard it, then it is a pretty much great thing.
Yeah.
When I lived in when I lived in New Mexico with my friends, I used to hang out at this western bar called Midnight Rodeo. It was the kind of place that had curling and hairspray in the women's bathroom, but Bud Light on permanent special for $2 a can, and a solid oak dance floor the size
Oh.
of a cornfield. We were all from the east coast and were way too cool for country music, so at first we had going to just to snootly make fun of it at all, and taking great pride in being the first to spot a particularly gigantic belt buckle or a cowboy sporting one of them, hand beer moustache and big enough to cover five upper lips.
Oh.
But our favorite part was the line dancing. We'd stare mesmerized by the giant, choreographed Garth Brooks fans stomping around in synchronized woo-hoery with their thumbs purposely tucked into the front pockets of their jeans. It was so hilarious that we started joining in ourselves, waving from the middle of the sea of the cowboy hats to our friend. So then we'd stay on the floor for the next song just to try and get that part down where you click your heels right before the spin. Then we found ourselves sneaking off every weekend to merrily line dance our little anky breaky heart out. This is sort of the same way the God thing happened for me. It started out with much snappiness, and eye rolling, but I was so broke and clueless and sick of being such a weenie about really going for it in my life that I was open for suggestions, which is why when I started reading books on finding your calling, spiritual side to them, I didn't toss them in the goodwill pile.
Yeah.
With usual this spirituality crap is for a sucker's attitude. Instead, I decided to give good old God a chance because I had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Literally, and lo and behold, some of it wasn't totally idiotic. So I started reading more about it. Then I started studying. Then I started putting it into practice. Then I noticed how much better it may feel. Then I started believing in it. Then I noticed all awesome shifts starting to happen in my life. Then I became obsessed with it. Then I
Oh.
started loving it. Then I started radically changing my life with it. And then I also started teaching it. Now I am basically riding the mechanical bull about it, punching my fist in the air and hollering or to the manning the controls. Hit it, man. Wherever you happen to stand the God issue, let me just say that this whole improving your life things and your life is going to be a lot easier if you have an open mind about it. Call it whatever you want: God, goddess, the big guy, the universe, source energy, higher power, the grand poobah, gut, intuition, spirit, the force, the zone, the lord, the vortex, the mother lord,
Oh my
etc.
God, it's a lot of things.
It
I'm
doesn't
feeling
matter.
it's a lot of names.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Personally, I find the God word to be a tad too loaded. I prefer source energy, the universe, the vortex, spirit. Um, what I want to say is, uh, whatever you choose, whatever you choose to call it, it isn't important. What is important is that you start to develop an awareness of a relationship with the source energy that's surrounding you within you, and which will be your
Yeah.
pal which will be your pal ever if you give it a chance. Because here's the thing. So guys, it is the discussion that we two are talking about, and after this we two will personally talk you about quite few amazing things. Like, all of us are connected to this limitless power, and most of us aren't using but a fraction of it. And that is what we are going to tell you personally. Thank
So hey guys, here's our second part that we talk about in our last video, and we are gonna do this video separately, both of us, that Mr. Shantanu and myself. So in this video we are gonna talk about the importance of motivation and the need of motivation in our daily life. So let's get started on the topic. How does anyone get anything done? Yeah. How do you build new skills and break bad habits? Motivation is the driving force that gets you to your goals and dreams. Without motivation, it would be your challenging to change to accomplish much of anything. There's extrinsic motivation, which is the motivation to do something to gain or to avoid another outcome. On the other hand, is an internal drive based on a sense of purpose of your identity. When you learn a new language just because, or make time for friends because you enjoy their company, that's intrinsic motivation. So let's talk about some reasons why the motivation is such important in our daily life, and let's get to the topic. Number one is motivation helps you get healthier. Exercise and healthier eating are essential to better health. While we are creatures of habit, we are also capable of changing our behaviors. We need motivation. Without something driving you to form healthier habits, it can feel impossible to make a change. It takes time and effort to form new patterns, and we need something that fuels us, like motivation for a healthier life or inspiration to make our career. and that include wanting to feel better physically, mentally, and psychologically, achieve certain fitness dreams, or be around to watch your kids grow up. With these drivers, you can build healthy habits and reach the benefits of your healthy daily life. The second point we talk about is that motivation improves your relationships. And how is that? So, relationships can be challenging. We all have to work through misunderstandings, conflicts, and settling boundaries. Relationships also require a lot of time and energy. If you lack motivation, problems go unaddressed, distance is created, and everything involved feels neglected. If you're motivated to improve or maintain relationship like with your parents or with your love partner or with your friends, that relationship is better for it. The next point is motivation helps build new skills. Developing a new skill depends on two things: motivation and habit. When you have done something for a while, you don't always need to feel motivated. You can power through and just do the thing out of habit. However, while you are still forming those habits, you need motivation. You need a reason to stick to a new skill or hobby when you are still bad at it. Just like when you recently started exercising, then you have to bear that pain. You have to do this daily to form the habit to do exercising regularly, to form a healthier way of living. Keep thinking back to why you started all this in the first place, trusting the process that eventually it will become a habit. Motivation also helps you to learn more things in your life. Whether you want to become an expert on a topic or just learn through to enough to talk about, without feeling lost, you will need motivation. Most things are more complicated than they appear on the surface. So you will need to do more than read one article or book to do something that amazing. Motivation helps you weed through what can seem like countless resources, absorb and analyze the information, and keep going. Motivation also increases your productivity. So, if you're motivated and inspired by our mentor and anybody, then you could do a lot than your normal days. If you want to be more productive, think about your motivations. Do you have any? If you're doing something on autopilot or not thinking about it, doing why, it's much easier to get distracted on procrastination. There isn't anything fueling your actions. If you're motivated by something, even if it's a reason as simple as wanting to put away work and have dinner right at 6 p.m., you're more likely to be more productive. Motivation can advance your career. Do you have big career goals? Many people think about 5-year or 10-year plans and what they hope to achieve in that time. Advancing a career is a very common dream. There's usually a lot of work involved. You have to do hard work, smart work to achieve your goals. Motivation drives you for that. Motivation can include the desire for a bigger paycheck or responsibilities that are more aligned with your passions. Many people hope to move into a role that gives them more flexibility. Whatever your goals, you will need to stay motivated to get there. Motivation inspires others through yourself. If you're doing something very great or good, then people get inspired by you or motivated by you. So keep motivate yourself and doing your things greatly and betterly. They say happiness is contagious. Motivation is too. If you hang around motivated people, you're more likely to feel inspired. That doesn't mean you should kick unmotivated people out of your life. People go through different things that affect their motivation, and it isn't fair to expect someone to be chipper and productive at all times. That being said, if you're looking for some extra motivation and encouragement, think about the people you know who have committed to forming a new healthier habits and changing their lives for the better. They can be good people to talk to about meeting your goals. Motivation gets you through hard times. When things are going well, it's not too difficult to stay motivated. When things get harder, however, it's easier to lose sight of the finish line. The stress of your situation can overwhelm you and make you feel like you're failing. Intentionally thinking about what motivates you is a great way to stay afloat. You can own your feelings but still remember that you are capable of getting through this time. Your motivation compels you to keep trying. Motivation is essential for good leadership. Leaders have a lot of responsibilities, but one of the most important ones is motivation. If a team isn't motivated, their work will suffer. The leader needs to rally everyone, provide encouragement, and keep them motivated through good times, and bad leaders need to study the best ways to motivate a group and avoid strategies that aren't as effective. So, here's our next point, that motivation fuels social change and justice. There's a lot wrong in this world. Tackling issues like poverty and equality can seem overwhelming, but activists have been doing it for centuries. The arc of humanity seems to bend towards justice even when there's opposition. How do people deal with these seemingly impossible dreams? They want a better future for coming generations. Without this motivation, it would make sense to give up. Motivation lights a fire in the people and has led to huge wins for in this world. So now let's talk about the vital importance and benefits of motivation in our daily life. Being passive is not our default mode as human beings. Otherwise, we would have been born as a sloth or a panda bear. It is a nature to strive, to want, and to move in a direction of something we desire and deem valuable. There's a quote by William James that said, "Action may not always bring happiness, but there is no happiness without action." So, why is the motivation so important in our daily life? Why is it important to understand motivation? Why do we care about what people want and why they want it? How about because it can improve our lives? Understanding motivation gives us many valuable insights into human nature. It explains why we set goals, strive for achievement and power, why we have desires for psychological intimacy and biological sex, why we experience emotions like fear, anger, and compassion. Learning about motivation is valuable because it helps us understand where motivation comes from, why it changes, what increases as and decreases it, what aspects of it can and cannot be changed, and helps us answer the question of why some types of motivation are more beneficial than others. Motivation reflects something unique about each one of us and allows us to gain valued outcomes like improved performance, enhanced well being, personal growth, or a sense of purpose. Motivation is a pathway to change our way of thinking, feeling, and behaving. So, what are the benefits of motivation that drives us to do our things and bring a happy life in our surroundings? So, finding ways to increase motivation is crucial because it allows us to change behavior, develop competencies, be creative, set goals, grow interests, make plans, develop talents, and boost engagement. Applying motivational science to everyday life helps us to motivate employees, coach athletes, raise children, counsel clients, and engage students. The benefits of motivation are visible in how we live our lives. As we are constantly responding to changes in our environment, we need motivation to take corrective correction in the face of fluctuating circumstances. Motivation is a vital resource that allows us to adapt, function productively, and maintain well being in the face of a constantly changing stream of opportunities and threats. So, there's a quote by Peter Cook that said, "I have learned from my mistakes and I am sure I can repeat them exactly." So it has such really deep meanings that we are not maybe that eligible to understand, but in the near future we definitely will. So, there are many health benefits of increased motivation. Motivation as a psychological state is linked to our psychology. When our motivation is depleted, our functioning and well being suffer. Some studies show that when we feel helpless in exerting, for example, we tend to give up quickly when challenged. Others have proven that when we find ourselves cold, we lose access to our inner motivation resources. High quality motivation allows us to thrive, while its deficit causes us to flounder. Short-term benefits of increased motivation are visible in greater student engagement, better job satisfaction in employees, flourishing relationships, and institutions. But unhealthy fluctuations in motivation also explain addiction, gambling, risk taking, and excessive internet usage. The motivation that underlies addictive behaviors shares the neurological underpinning associated with dopamine centric reward system and tricky inner working of a pleasure cycle. This makes it challenging and often difficult to change behavior in situations involving addictions. See, now let's some deep talk about the topic that I have told you in in the previous part, that is extrinsic motivation. Is any source of motivation more potent or more effective in motivating people than the other? Are people primarily motivated by internal motives or by external rewards? Or are people driven equally by internal and external triggers? Human motivates are complex and such social creatures. We are embedded into our environment, and social groups are often as important source of influence through the presence of rewards and considerations of potential consequences of our choices on those around us. Self-determination theory explains how external events like rewards or praise sometimes produce positive effects on motivation, but at another times can be quite detrimental. The hidden cost of certain types of reward is that they undermine intrinsic motivation by decreasing the sense of autonomy and competence. So, there's a trade off between satisfying and undermining the need for competence when we offer rewards. This form of extrinsic motivation also can undermine our sense of autonomy, since rewards are used for both purposes, to control behavior and to affirm someone of their level of competence. We want to reward in a way that encourages competence without threatening the sense of autonomy. So, on this topic, there's a quote said by Indira Gandhi that say, "My grandfather once told me that there were two kinds of people, those who do the work and those who take the credit. He told me to try to be in the first group. There was much less competition." So it has its own deep meaning. Let's talk about that. Rewards should be reserved for activities that are not interesting and should be given when not expected. Praise is preferable to monetary rewards, for example, as it supports psychological needs and is of more lasting value. Similarly to rewards, imposed goals were found to narrow focus and impair creativity. Studies show that imposed goal setting increases unethical behavior and risk taking, narrow focus, and decreases cooperation, intrinsic motivation, and creativity. This is an excellent example of goals gone wild. Much of contemporary research shows that intrinsic motivation is more effective, more often of more enduring value. In some circumstances, however, extrinsic motivation may be more appropriate, as in the case of uninteresting activities. It is also possible to make use of incentives more effective by encouraging people to identify with it and integrate it into their sense of self. To give an example of identifying and integrating extrinsic motives, respectively, would be like describing the difference between saying, I do this because it's the right thing to do versus I do this because I'm a good person. So, what is actually an intrinsic motivation? Intrinsic motivation is inherent in the activities we perform for pure enjoyment or satisfaction. We engage in intrinsically motivated behavior because we want to experience the activity for its own sake. Unlike extrinsically motivated behavior, it is freely chosen. Intrinsic motivation can be driven by curiosity, which is linked to a desire to know and motivates us to learn and explore our environment for answers. Intrinsic motivation can also come from the need to actively interact and control our environment. The affectance motivation theory explains how intrinsic motivation drives us to develop competence. Finally, Allport's concept of the functional autonomy of motives explain how behavior originally performed for extrinsic reasons can become something to perform for its own sake. So on this point, there's a quote that's said by William Jennings Bryan that say, "Destiny is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. It is not a thing to be waited for. It is a thing to be achieved." When it comes to intrinsic motivation, it is important to distinguish between activities that are intrinsically motivating. Intrinsic activities are self contained because performing them is a reward in itself. The autotelic experience produced by an intrinsic activity makes us pay attention to what we are engaged in for its own sake and away from consequences. When the experience is intrinsically rewarding, life is justified in the present and not tied to some hypothetical future gain. The most important characteristics of the autotelic experience is its intrinsically motivated nature. So, before signing off, let's talk about something of self motivation. No one knows more about self motivation than the authors of self determination theory, based on the assumption that we have an innate tendency for personal growth towards psychological integration. The self-determination theory of Ryan and Deci proposed that all behavior can be understood as lying along a continuum of external regulation or heteronomy and true self-regulation or autonomy. Ryan and Deci distinguish varying degrees of external motivation based on the level of autonomy present while engaging in the desired behavior. On the one end, there is the external regulations of behavior where rewards are used purely to control behavior and compliance occurs to avoid consequences and is defined as one where there is no autonomy present. They explain that while external regulation, as in the form of rewards, can control behavior, it does not constitute motivation. So there is a quote said by Polybius in 125 BC that say, "In all human affairs there is always an end in view of pleasure or honor or advantage." So also, like the previous quotes, it also has some deep meaning in it that we will discover in the near future. We can also be motivated by the avoidance of guilt and by the need to build self esteem. This form of self regulation of behavior is characterized by law autonomy and a language of "I should" and "I have to." When we are motivated by the contingencies related to our self esteem and impose pressures on ourselves for fear of shame or failure, we are said to have introjected regulation. This form of regulation, while more effective than external motivation, remains ambivalent and unstable because it is accompanied by inner conflict, tension, and negative emotions.
So, as I have told you earlier, that I am going to continue on a personal note, and let's begin with our topic. That is, we have discussed as all of us are connected to this limitless power, and most of us aren't using but a fraction. So, our energy is taking a joyride in these bodies of ours, learning, growing, and evolving along the way. One would hope anyway, I suppose, numbling, shrinking, and moving back in with our parents is also an option until our corporal journey comes to an end and we move on. Thanks for the lift. This realization that we are made up of and connected to source energy made me want to have a deeper understanding of spirituality so I could make my physical experience as awesome as possible. And let me tell you, ever since I got into it, it has been awesomeness maximus. When I'm connected with source energy and in the flow, I am so much more powerful, so much more in tune to my physical world and the world beyond, and just so much happier in general. And the more I meditate and the more attention I give to the relationship with my invisible superpower, the more effortlessly I can manifest the things I want into my life. And do it with such specificity and at such a rapid rate that it makes my hair stand up. It's like I have finally figured out how to make my magic wand work. If loving spirit is wrong, I don't want to be right. Here's the foundation for all the work we are about to do together on our life. The universe is made up of source energy. All energy vibrates at certain frequency, which means you are vibrating at a certain frequency, and everything you desire and don't desire is also vibrating at a certain frequency. Vibration attracts like vibration, otherwise known as the law of attraction. The basic idea is focus on that which makes you feel good, and shall find that which makes you feel good. We are all attracting energy to ourselves all the time, whether we realize it or not. And when we are vibrating at a low frequency, feeling pessimistic, needy, victimized, jealous, shameful, worried, convinced we are ugly, yet expect high frequency, awesome things and experiences to come into our lives, we are often disappointed. You need to raise your frequency to match the vibration of the one you want to turn into. It's like trying to listen a certain radio station but tuning it in at the wrong frequency. If you have a hot and sexy date and want to listen to 105.9 Red FM, slow jams, but set your dial to 89.9 FM National Public Radio. You are not only going to be slow jamless, but you are more likely to attract discussion about immigration laws in the US instead of attracting a relaxed and candlelight body. That's the mood for love. The universe will match whatever vibration you put out, and you can't fool the universe. Which is why, when you are vibrating at a higher frequency, awesome things seem to flow to you effortlessly, and you seem to stumble over the perfect people and opportunities all the time. As Albert Einstein observed, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. When you learn to consciously master the energetic realm, believe in the not yet seen, and stay in your highest frequency, you harness your innate power to create the reality you desire. So once again, good old awareness is your key to freedom. Once you realize that you can dramatically improve your situation by connecting with source energy and raising your frequency, you can freaking do it already. I'll show you exactly how later, instead of opting to stay in the suck hole and feeling like a victim of pathetic circumstances such as microwaving ramen in its styrofoam cup for dinner, or working for someone who makes you flesh crawl. In order to truly raise your vibration, you have got to believe that everything you want is available to you. And the best way to keep this belief strong is by staying connected to the source energy. So, let's talk about the forces within you. So, when we say the force is with you, This isn't just about believing and being all high vibe when the sun is out and the bunnies are hopping around either. This is about believing even when things are at their most uncertain or absolute crappiest, that there is a bright, shiny flip side within your reach. As French author and fearless truth seeker Andre Gide so aptly put it, one does not discover new lands without consenting to lose sight of the shore for a very long time. This is about believing that we live in a loving, kind, and abundant universe instead of one that's pretty mean and like other people more than it likes you. This is about your faith being greater than your fear. So swiftly moving on to our next topic, which is present as a pigeon. So before continuing with our topic, let me tell you a quote with it, which was told by Lao Tzu. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. That's the quote. That's the quote. So the author started narrating this by saying, I was in a yoga class one day, and the instructor told us all that to get into the pigeon pose, which is this pose where you stretch one leg out behind you, fold the other one out sideways in front of you, and then bend forward and lie down. On top of the whole thing, it's fine if you are a pigeon, but it's one of the poses I dread most because my hips don't move that way. It hurts, and I am always scared I am gonna get stuck. But even though my body has requested otherwise, I am in class and going for it, and I'm determined to relax into it, even though I am really just silently begging that dude to tell us to change the into different pose, which he doesn't do because he's too busy talking. He's blaming on and on about our connection to the universe and our breath and the path to true enlightenment. And holy fucking shit, dude, will you hurry up? I think I am going to rip something. I really do. Oh my god, I think I'm actually stuck. How am I going to get out of this? He's gonna have to come over here and lift me out of it because I really truly am stuck. And then whoosh, I breathe into it. I shut out the relentless yamming in my brain and get quiet and surrender. I feel my body shift and go deeper into the pose that than it's ever gone before. The pain is gone, the panic is gone. I am one of the universe. But then I realize that I really do think I am stuck. And seriously, what the hell, dude? Are you going to talk all night? We have been in this freaking pose for 5 minutes for real. And by the way, my knee just got all hot, and you really are not going to shut up, even though I keep thinking you finally are, but then you keep going and then whoosh. So I reconnect, I am back in the zone. I melt deeply into this pose and feel such bliss and true connection to something much larger than myself. This flip flopping between freaking out in our heads and breathing into the now is basically how most of us go through life. Instead of worrying about the possibility of dislocating a hip, or about how bad I was at this pose, I could have luxuriated in the magnificence available to me in the moment. It never ceases to amaze the precious time we spend chasing the squirrels around our brains, playing out dramas, worrying about unwanted facial hair, seeking adoration, justifying our actions, complaining about slow internet connections, dissecting lives of idiot when we are sitting in the middle of full-blown miracle that is happening right here, right now. We are on a planet that somehow knows how to rotate on its axis and follow a defined path. While it hurtles through space, our heartbeat, we can see we have love, laughter, language, living rooms, computer, compassion, car, fire. fingernails, flowers, music, medicine, mountains, muffins. We live in a limitless universe overflowing with miracles. The fact that we aren't stumbling around in an inconceivable state of sobbing or is appalling. The universe must be like, what more do I have to wake these bitches up? Make water their most precious resource, rain down from the sky. The universe loves so much and wants up to partake in the miraculous so badly that sometimes she delivers little wake up calls, like in the movie when someone narrowly escapes death and is overjoyed and grateful that they take to the streets, skipping and laughing and madly hugging everyone inside. Suddenly all their problems fall away, and the miracle of being alive today is this moment takes over the screen. I know someone who got stuck. I know someone who got stuck through a dam and almost died, who now speaks about it as one of his most profound and life-changing experience. Not that I wish that on anyone, but take heart in the fact that should you require some sort of catastrophe for for your transformation, it can be cosmically arranged. The universe and the universe has also surrounded us with the perfect teachers. For example, animals are in present at time. um, Animals are in the present all the time, and their secret power is to pull us in with them. My friend's dog, so happy to see her every single time she walks in the door. It's like she's about to free him from 40 years of imprisonment. So even if she's only been gone for an hour, you are here. I am here. I love you. I'm gonna pee all over the floor about it. Little kids are also excellent guides. Kids get so wrapped up in the joy of growing or pretending or discovering that they really eat to eat or bath or sleep. If we didn't make them, they are constantly creating in a state of free flowing, concentrated bliss. They haven't yet learned to worry about what other people think of them, or that perhaps they are not as talented as at finger painting as Lucy next door is. They are in the moment. They are in the moment. There is fun in the moment. End of the story. So we would be wise to take more of our cues from the beast and babies. All the stuff we are so worried about creating and fixated on becoming is already right here, right now. The money you wanted already exists. The person you want to meet is already alive. The experience you want to have is available. Now, the idea for the brilliant song you want to write is here. Now, waiting for you to download the information, the knowledge and insight and joy and connection and love, or are all wagging their hands in your face trying to get your attention. The life you want is right here, right now. What the hell am I talking about if it's all here? Where is it? Think of it like electricity. Before the invention of the light bulb, most people weren't aware of electricity's existence. It was still here, exactly the same way it is right now, but we hadn't yet woken up to it. It took the invention of the light bulb to bring it to our attention. We had to understand how to manifest it into our reality. It's not that the things and opportunity that we want in life don't exist yet. It's that we are not yet aware of the existence or the fact that we can really have them. The more practiced you become at being present and connected to source energy, the more available you are to download ideas and seize opportunities that you might miss out on. If you're all wrapped up in the endless chatter in your head, there's a great Hindu story about a lady who wanted to meet the Lord Krishna. So she went into the forest, closed her eyes, and prayed and meditated on making the god appear. And lo and behold, Krishna came and wandering down the forest path towards her. But when Krishna tapped the lady on the shoulder, She, without opening her eyes, told him to get lost because she was busy meditating on a very important goal. When we get so wrapped up in our heads, we miss out on what's available to us right now in that moment. Stop and notice how you feel right now. Feel your breath moving in and out of your body. Feel the air on your skin. Feel your heart beating, your eyes seeing, your ears hearing. Notice the energy inside and outside of buzzing. Shut off your thoughts and feel your connection to source. Breathe even if you have got bone chilling credit card debts on you haven't spoken to your mother in 6 years. Right now in that moment you can find peace and joy in that, which simply is. As adults with responsibilities like bodies to care for and mortgages to pay, there's some value in taking a side trip away from the present moment every once in a while. Sometimes we need to think about and plan for the future as well as study in the past in order to learn from it or laugh about it or to bury it out back and let it go forever. And if we just stop by for occasional visits to the future and past, that would be one thing, but the amount of time we spend chewing on junk food, thoughts about what ifs and how comes, Lord help us. The more time you spend in the moment, the richer your life will be. Being present gets you out of your head and connects you to source energy, which raises your frequency, which attracts things of like frequency to you, and all those things, high frequency things and experiences are already here, just waiting for you to join party. All you have to do is shut up, show up, and you usher them in. So, moving on to the next chapter, which is the big snooze. Wanting to be someone like wanting to be someone else is a waste of person you are. Said by Kurt Cobain. So, when I first started getting into self-help, there was lots of talk about something called the ego that confused the hell out of me. I always thought that ego was about being conceited and braggy and all I am gonna talk on and on and on and how great I am, and then I'm gonna show you my muscles. Meanwhile, even though arrogance and conceit, which are different from self-love and confidence, by the way, are part of ego, they are not, as I later learned the whole scenario in the self-help spiritual community. Ego is used to refer the shadow self or the false self or the self that's acting like a Winnie. It's the part of us that's driving the bus when we do things like sabotage our happiness by cheating on our husbands or wives because deep down we don't feel worthy of being loved, or that refuses to follow our hearts and pursue an acting career because we are terrified to be seen for who we really are, or that goes on and on and on about how great we are and shows off our muscles because we are insecure and need lots of outside validation that we are good enough. In other words, there's more than one way to go on an ego trip. From here on out, I am going to refer to the ego as the big snooze or the short snooze. I think it will be less confusing. Plus, I think it's more appropriate since the leading cause of sucking, staying broke, dating morons, uncontrollably crying in the public because we hate our lives is that we haven't yet woken up to how truly powerful we are, on to how massively abundant our universe is. Alrighty, so moving forward, the big snooze operates according to our limiting false beliefs. This is the garbage. This is the garbage that was stuffed into your subconscious mind as a kid that doesn't ring true for you, as well as the decisions you have made about yourself that are less than flattering or empowering. It gets validation from outside sources. I'm doing this because I'm doing this to win your love. Your opinion of me is more important than my opinion of me. It's reactive. My circumstances control my life. I am a victim, fear based, and extremely committed to keeping you safely confined within the reality you have created based on the limiting false beliefs, otherwise known as your comfort zone. The big snooze lives in the past and in the future and believes you are separate from everything you around you. Your true self, or your higher self, or your superhero self, your non-belief system self, on the other hand, in the on the other hand is the part of you that operates according to your connection to source energy. It gets validation from within. I love and trust myself. This feels life. So love based, and it's proactive love based, and it's committed to creating a reality based on your limitless potential. As soon as you wake up from the big snooze, your true self lives in the present, totally believes in miracles, and is one with the universe. We all experience life in varying degrees from both perspectives, and while I seriously doubt there's anyone who's totally snooze free, most people are so wrapped up in the behind the scenes that they are settling for realities that are way beneath what's available to them. Very few people are even aware of what's available. However, because we live in a fear-based society that loves to get all uppity toward people who wake up into the great unknown, so oftentimes taking great leaps of faith is labeled as irresponsible or selfish or insane. Until you succeed, of course, then you are brilliant. This is because watching someone else totally go for it can be incredibly upsetting to the person who spent a lifetime building a solid case for why they themselves can't. So I'm obviously generalizing, and there are plenty of people out there cheering us on. But one of the first thing you might have to deal with when you decide to wake up from the big snooze and make massive positive changes in your life is disapproval from other people who are snoring away, especially the people closest to you. Lame as this may sound, they may express their discomfort in all sort of ways: anger, hurt, bafflement, criticism, snorting. Every time you every time you talk about your new business or your new friends, constant remark about how you are not the way you used to be, worrying, teasing, blocking you from all social media outlets, etc. Surely, are you really going to quit your secure corporate job to open a nail salon when you have got two children, a mortgage, and high blood pressure? So few business succeed, especially in this economy. Aren't you worried about what will happen to your family if you fail? Of course, Shirley is worried about what will happen to her family if she fails. She wakes up every night seized by panic about it, but she is moving past her fear to create something she is really sized about. Rather than dying a slowly painful death hanging around the water cooler with you, whining about how dry the cake was at the birthday party your boss threw for you in the conference room last week, even though they are often doing it out of love and concern, having others smear their fear and worry all over you in the last thing. I highly recommend keeping your mouth shut around people who are gonna bring you down. Instead, seek out those who are already totally kicking butt, or who are lifting up their foot to do so, or people who you know will be so supportive, and confide in them, because you'll have your own internal freak show to deal with as you try to overcome the objections from your own business. So the big snooze is like an overprotective Italian mother who not only doesn't want you to ever go outside, but who wants you to live with her forever. Her intentions are good, but fully fear based. As long as you stay inside the familiar, risk free zone of your present reality, the big snooze is content. But should you try and sneak past her to attend the rocking party outside, your overprotective, controlling mother is going to claw, scratch, scream, bite, hurl her body in front of you, rapidly approaching new life. Basically, she is going to basically, she is going to do whatever she can do to stop you. So, and it ain't gonna be pretty. It's like when you quit smoking or doing drugs and go into withdrawal, finally you have taken a leap and done something that's going to massively improve your life. And for days, sometimes weeks, you feel worse than you did. When you were a wild child, you are hacking up all this nasty crap, riding your body of toxins, shaking, sweating, puking, wondering why on earth you thought this was a good idea. It's really fun. Same goes for when we rid ourselves of limiting subconscious beliefs that have been holding us back and take a giant leap outside our comfort zone. It's a detox of such staggering proportions that sometimes it can feel like the universe is conspiring against us. Trees falls on our cars, our computer crash, we find our significant others in bed with our best friends. We get our identities stolen, we get the flu, our roofs cave in we sit in gum when is reality the big snooze is creating chaos in an attempt to self-sabotage and keep everything as in. Instead of moving forward into a known yet desperately wanted new territory, even successful person knows this and has been thought of this. So that is it for today's video, and thank you for watching us. And before going, I want to tell you a very amazing quote that that is sure going to motivate you and plus boost your confidence as well. So repeat it with me 5 times. I am okay. I am okay. I am okay. Yes, you are okay. So please repeat it. And well,